best be careful with what I say, because these are the kind of people you wouldn't like when they're angry. But I know we're, I think, pretty much a month to the day from the finale by the time this is going out, if I've worked it out correctly. If not, it's going to be close enough. But I really wanted to love She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. I loved a lot of the trailers they did, the references to the old stuff, etc. Tatiana Maslany, there's a video I've been meaning to do for years about Orphan Black, which has just been shelved because it's been that long since I've watched it that I can't remember a lot of it. But she really appealed to me in that, and once again, as I recall, she's Canadian. I have this weird connection to Canadians, don't I? I've always respected her since that first moment. I loved what she did in there, playing all these different roles. I knew she could do something like this, where she's playing multiple different versions of the same person. It's well in her wheelhouse. Also, I've said so many times that I am one of the biggest supporters of Marvel's TV, or I guess now streaming, side. It's where a lot of the more grounded tales are done. It's where characters can be fleshed out a lot more. It's where I get a lot more enjoyment. But unfortunately, I also remember saying during Thor Love and Thunder, that review, that She-Hulk would be great, and I'd love it. And I don't want to make this video because I've got to eat those words. Now, I'm not saying it's bad overall. There are good moments. There's certainly the finale, which I will be talking about at the end, is I think almost worth every bad element. But there are a lot of bad elements. I mean, the general flow and the fun of it, it was great. I enjoyed it for the most part. The humour landed mostly. There were things that didn't. I do quickly, I think, want to get the big green elephant in the room addressed here. The VFX. That's what most people have an issue with. Unfortunately, when I was trying to find an image, I actually found an interview that I want to touch upon. But before I touch upon that, I want to reference a conversation I had with a certain person you might remember from the start of October. We were trying to figure out why She-Hulk looks so bad when Bruce, or the Hulk, is totally fine. Abomination looks great. And I was like, well, maybe it's because those existed in the film world, which had to be much better, so they just used the same model. But we stumbled upon something that I'd noticed, but I hadn't really voiced. Jen's hair, well, She-Hulk's hair, tends to kind of move like she's underwater. The hair dynamics doesn't flow quite right. Bruce being short-haired, and obviously Hulk being short-haired, we don't have that issue. His hair might move a little in the breeze, but it's not really obvious. That is not the only issue with it, but it's certainly one of the ones that really sat wrongly with me. Whenever she's got, her hair not moving too much, the CGI does tend to look better. There's that infamous shot of the stretched facial expression that just looks wrong across the board, and I think that's just a misunderstanding of Tatiana Maslany's facial dynamics, how they work. They didn't obviously map it correctly. But this interview that I saw said that there's a lot of people who have quit, even the industry, because of how Marvel work. One of the people in control of She-Hulk, the TV show, like the showrunners and things like that, actually said that she wanted to be more involved, like tried to get in there and, do what she could to grease the wheels and make everything work fine, but was basically shut out. Marvel were kind of like, no, it's all right, we'll handle this. Also, can you change everything around that you've just done so we have less VFX shots, please? They wanted to spend all of their budget on the guest spots and the cameos, but they didn't want to put all the money into VFX. People have been worked to the bone by Marvel, not just in the TV side or the streaming side, but also in the big productions, just saying, like, working them super hard, wanting stuff in unreasonable deadlines, wanting them to change things last minute, but not expecting the quality to dip. There was an infamous moment where Taika Waititi actually famously called out some of the CGI in Thor Love and Thunder, and it was for this reason. It was something that was changed last minute. It didn't work, if I recall correctly. So, when I say that the VFX doesn't work in this, I am not directing that at all at any of the VFX artists that worked on it. They did their best with what sounds like very unreasonable demands. I'm not blaming the showrunners because they weren't involved. This is squarely at the feet of Marvel themselves. Whether that's Kevin or above him, I don't know. But that's why a lot of the CGI just didn't seem to make sense in this. Overall, there were really fun moments. They brought that element of a character that we all love, the fourth wall break, the thing that we loved in Deadpool, etc. And every actor in this was giving a good job, doing their best. They did what they could with the material, I think one of the weaker elements was Titania. I really liked Jamila Jamil. I think she was great in The Good Place, and I don't feel that she was used well here. It just felt a bit like, well, we need another female strong character as a foil, so let's just put that character in, and didn't really give her much care and attention. To me, that's my opinion. Madison was one of those where I'm like, I really hate the character on some level, but that means that the job was done well. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. We got Daredevil back properly in a new suit, and I'm here for that. I love that a lot. And yeah, Hulk smashed, or She-Hulk smashed. But I do want to end in the most logical place with that finale. Like I say, all of the issues that I've said kind of disappear. And seriously now, if you haven't seen the finale, go away, because I am going to spoil it. I will say watch this if you're invested in the MCU, because it's going to link up somewhere. We're in that position now where we've got to watch everything, because you never know what might call back to something else. But the finale, that whole, like I say, I know throughout she's done the fourth wall breaks, but that big one where I was expecting Kevin Feige to turn up actually, not a robotic thing that's like an algorithm creating the programming. See what you're doing here, Marvel, well done. It's one thing you did right in this episode. But how she kind of says, hold on, why are we doing this like same versus same battle? Calling it out what I said was a massive problem, particularly with the film world. She's calling that out. She's kind of saying, no, this is my show. I should be the focus. I should be in control. This should end how I see it. And I love this moment. I love this whole sequence. Like I say, it almost made up for the whole rest of the season. But I do say almost. Like I say, I love a lot of people involved in this. I know that people worked their hardest. People did what they could with what they had. People worked in unreasonable circumstances. But the final product just, it fails to deliver. I really hope this is a blip. I hope that Marvel see the backlash, see all the people who are disappointed, understand what went wrong and why it went wrong, and fix it for, the next projects, all of them. Because if we're just going to get a slide down into mediocrity, the MCU is dead. Which is a shame, because we're on the cusp of getting mutants, finally. We're getting a lot of, niche things coming out. And dying before you've had a chance to tell some of those stories would be a very, very sad occasion. But that's all I want to say about She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And yeah, like I say, watch it because we're all invested now. There's no recommendation here. It's, if you're in, you're in. If you're not, skip it. Because you skipped everything else. It won't make sense to you anyway. But thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, take care.